Action.
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. My name is Renee.
Hi, good. How are you?
Good.
Okay.
So, what is your name?
I'm Ashley King.
Ashley King? Very nice to meet you. All right. So, I just want to thank you so much for coming in today. I know it's very difficult. I just want to go over first, the goals of today and what will be going on. And then also, too, I want you first just to get to know me a little bit better, because I know it's a little bit weird because I'm still a stranger to you. All right. Um, I do have a copy for you as well. And here is just my consent form. And this just goes over my qualifications as a therapist and kind of the rules and regulations here in this office. So as you know, you did call in to the Pfeiffer Institute, and our main office will take care of any kind of payments or scheduling for you. But if ever you need to get in contact with me, it's best for you to reach me by phone. If ever I don't answer you, you can just leave a voice message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also, too, I have my email listed on here, so you can reach me there as well. Okay? All right. So our meetings, we will discuss that a little bit more once I get to know you more, and we'll come up with together the best dates and times for us to meet. Typically, sessions are about 50 minutes long. Today will be a little bit longer. It will be about an hour. And that's just because today I just want to get to know you a little bit more. I'm going to ask a lot of questions today, so bear with me a little bit, okay? And it's just important for me to gather this information so that we can set some goals for you and we can see where to go in the future, okay? All right, so before we begin, also too, I do want you to know that everything we discuss today will be confidential. There are some exceptions to this, and I do want to let you know ahead of time. So the exceptions here are if ever I feel that your life is in danger or if somebody else's life is in danger, I do have to report that. And I do have to share a little bit about what we talked about. Any other time, none of the information here will be disclosed. So no third party such as work or any family member will not know your information unless you decide to share that information or if you request any kind of documentation from me. Okay. So before we get started today, if you don't mind, just signing this consent, and that just kind of that just states that you understand what we talked about, what I just stated to you, and then we'll move forward from there. Okay. Today is 11/21. Thank you. All right. Do you have any questions for me so far?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. All right. So first, I just want to give you the floor. I want you to just talk to me a little bit about what brought you in today, any concerns or any goals that you have, and we'll move on from there. Okay.
Okay. So, I have 3 kids. So I have Noah is 5, Watt is 2, and I just had a little girl named Brooklyn, and she's 2 months old now. And really, I've had some depressed thoughts in the past, primarily after I had my first son, but um, I've been feeling a lot worse lately since my daughter was born. Um, I've just found myself feeling really tired with the kids, and um, shameful to say, but I just am having a hard time really wanting to be with the kids, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, so most of my day is spent with the kids, and I just don't feel like most days when I wake up that I even really have the energy or desire even to just be with them. I wake up feeling overwhelmed at the idea of being with them all day and just caring for them. So which just as a mom feels really shameful to even think of that. So I don't know, I've enjoyed spending time with them in the past, particularly with my husband there. But in the past, like I said, my daughter's 2 months old, so it's been about that long now, where I've just felt kind of a loss of desire to be with the kids, and I find myself just kind of struggling even to feel any motivation to do any of the things that I used to enjoy doing. Like, I'm not really excited to. I used to love to exercise, and I just don't really have any motivation to do it. Really, overall, I just feel kind of drained emotionally, mentally, physically. Um, I'm having a really hard time sleeping, which is odd because I feel so tired all the time. But when I lay down, I feel like I can't really sleep. And if I'm able to get to sleep at all, it's like an hour or so, and then I wake up um, in the middle of the night. And so I guess that's really been the worst of it. Just really feeling. I always felt like I was supposed to be a mom, supposed to stay at home with my kids.
Sure.
This is what I wanted to do. And now I just kind of feel just defeated because that is kind of the source of my problem, and I just feel really sad and kind of just like I want to cry all the time, and I just don't enjoy being with them. So,
Sure. Is this the first time you're talking about this?
well, I'm really involved with my church, and I have a lot of really good friends through that. So I do have some support there. So I've talked about it with those friends, but really, honestly, most often if when I talk to them, I just don't have a lot of friends that feel the same way that I do about being a mom, and so it often just kind of makes me feel worse, kind of like I'm all by myself. So I talk about it, but I don't talk about it as much probably as I should have.
Okay. Well, Ashley, I really appreciate you opening up to me and sharing all this information with me. I know it's very difficult, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. But I want this space to be yours. And today it's going to feel like I'm asking you a lot of questions. Um, the first, maybe today and the next time we meet. But after that will be more so your work in this space. So taking how you're feeling now and trying to not just move past these problems that you're facing, but to achieving new goals for yourself, okay? So after we gather this information today, we're going to set some goals for you, okay? Alright, so I'm just going to ask you a couple questions here. Now, do you find it very difficult, so you said in the past 2 months since your daughter Brooklyn was born, do you find it very difficult for you to think, or do you feel like your mind is drifting off, or anything like that?
Some, I think my husband probably would say yes more than I would. I often feel like he often gets frustrated that he says I'm not listening to him, or that he'll be talking to me and he'll say that I'm not paying attention. Um, I feel like I'm lost kind of when I'm with my kids for sure. Like if they're asking me things every 5 seconds and being loud, and I do kind of feel like I get lost thinking and forget what I'm doing sometimes.
It's hard to attend to them. Now, Ashley, I know this might be a difficult question, but is there any substance use
No.
going on? No. Okay.
My doctor prescribed Lexapro for me after my first son, but that's the only time I've ever had any kind of medication or anything for depression.
And are you currently still taking Lexapro, or did you end up?
No, I stopped probably 4 months after I started taking it because I don't like the idea of being dependent on a medication.
Sure.
So my husband and I try to raise the kids in a really kind of healthy, natural kind of environment.
Yeah.
So just with that kind of in mind, I didn't like the idea of being on medication, but it just also feels kind of shameful to have to if I need it. So I felt like I just was trying to deal with the symptoms then and then kind of be done with it.
Okay. Sure. Well, I do want you to know that this space is yours. So it's a holistic and healthy environment. It's what you want to raise your kids in. We're going to make this space just like that for you here, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. And, is there any physical symptoms that you're feeling in the past 2 months? Any body aches, any headaches, anything like that?
Some headaches, not, I don't know if it would be anything significant. Just kind of the normal headache, but I do have some issues with my stomach. I've had my gallbladder and my appendix out in the last 5 years, so it hasn't been since I started having kids, I guess.
Sure.
My primary doctor said he thinks it's irregularity in my eating and anxiety or stress related, but I have an upset stomach occasionally. But other than that,
And so kind of the symptoms that you're feeling now, have you ever felt symptoms like this before?
just when my first son was born, I didn't really. Maybe I was just used to it. It's a lot worse this time than it was with either of my previous children. My first son, the reason I got on medication was because I hadn't really ever felt that way before, just the kind of feelings of hopelessness and sadness and just kind of losing desire for things. I just hadn't really felt that before. So it just felt debilitating, like I wasn't able to get up and do things. And so I kind of panicked, and that's why I got the medication at first. But then what happened with my second son, I kind of had felt it before, I guess, but I figured it would probably just go away, but this time it's just been a lot worse, so.
This time around you feel like not manageable for you. You feel like it's come to this point now where you're reaching out because you feel it's just too much. Okay. Is there any activities or hobbies that you feel either are relieving your symptoms or something you just enjoy to do in general?
Really just being, when we get a babysitter, that's really the only time. I mean, I still feel the things that I'm feeling, which just causes problems for my husband and I, but I feel the most relief when I'm away from the kids, even if just for an evening, just to get some time. I feel like with, having kids, you don't really get any time for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good though that you're recognizing that you need space. I think that's very important, very courageous of you to identify that with yourself. Now, is there so as far as your husband, do you mind telling me a little bit more about your relationship and when you guys met or when you guys got married?
Sure. So we've been married for 7 years. We met in college. We both went to Wake Forest University, and he's actually an oral surgeon, and I was an accountant at a bank prior to being a mom. But so we met in college, and we only dated for a short time. I think it was 8 or 9 months that we dated before we got married. We were both seniors in college, so sure.
And how would you describe your marriage as?
Probably a little strained. My husband and I just, my anxiety that I have just about being with the kids and just the difficulty that I have being a mom and just feeling really tired and kind of frustrated and even angry occasionally and not really enjoying being with the kids. It's really hard for him. I know that by the time he gets home, I'm usually very tired and just stressed and overwhelmed with kids, and so um, I usually we fight about him helping. He's tired getting home from work, and I'm tired. So we don't get a lot of time to ourselves when the kids are in bed. You know, we're both really tired and often a little bit cranky at each other. Just from feel like he doesn't understand, you know, what I deal with during the day and how I feel. Um, because he enjoys being with the kids, but he doesn't have to be with them all the time. You know, he really gets to be there for the more fun stuff, and I have to be the one dealing with all of the mess. So, um, yeah, I mean, we've gone to marriage counseling in the past through our church, but it must have been good. But I feel like most of it ends up being him kind of expressing his feelings about me and like the things that I'm, you know, he's frustrated about, and then I just end up kind of having to listen. Um, I guess I'm just not as eager to talk and stand up about it as he is.
So you feel like, just to summarize, you feel like you don't have that space either at home or through marriage counseling to kind of share how you're feeling, either within yourself or within your marriage or your family in general.
Yeah, I think whenever at home, whenever we do have a conversation, it's always everything just feels like my fault, so I don't feel like I can move. You know, I feel really ashamed about not enjoying being with the kids, but just kind of how I feel. Right?
Okay. I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and I want to talk about, if you're comfortable, your childhood and your upbringing. Do you mind telling me where you were born?
I was born in Greensboro,
Okay.
North Carolina.
Do you guys live in North Carolina?
Yeah, I went to Fort, like pretty close to Greensboro, so yeah, I've never been that far.
Okay. Yeah. And did you have any siblings?
I have one sister, she's older.
How's your relationship with your sister?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk occasionally. She's had some trouble having kids, so that's been a little tough on our relationship because I have three, and I just don't really feel like I can share that with my struggles with her because she can't have kids. But it's really tough to. I mean, we have a good relationship in most other ways, but the older we've gotten, it's been harder.
Right. So it's hard when you're older because you guys are kind of in different positions. So when you're younger, you're in the same household and kind of following each other's footsteps a little bit. So I can understand. And what about your parents? Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah. So they're great. We have a great relationship with them since they still live in the area, so we see the kids pretty often. They had a good marriage when I was growing up. They raised me and my sister in a Christian home, and my mom is. I mean, I have a good positive relationship with both of them, but my mom was always kind of I always felt like I had to perform for her, kind of. Like she's got really high expectations, and just of how you look as a woman, you know, kind of your ability to handle things, and so she doesn't really understand a lot of what I feel like I'm going through, and so I don't really feel able to share with her, and we often, you know, kind of butt heads now just about things, and so, but things are good. So,
So even though you felt that your mom had high expectations for you, do you feel like your parents still cared for you, or do you feel like a little bit
yeah,
detached?
yeah. I mean, I know they definitely loved me and cared for me. I think I struggle myself just anyway with self-esteem and, you know, body image and everything, and I think that a lot of that comes from my mom's, you know, desire for me to be a certain way, and, you know, when I was growing up, you know, girls can't fit this and girls look like this, and so, I think now just as I'm struggling with these other things, that kind of just plays into that as well. Just, you know, I just feel kind of not good about myself all around. And so I'm not really able to share that with her because I know she would have opinions.
Well, I thank you for sharing that. It's very difficult. Sounds like some of these feelings that you're having about yourself you've had for a very long time. And you know, if you want to just take a second just to kind of think about that, it's a little, it's good for you in this space, and it's kind of why I'm asking these questions, not just for me to get to know you, but for you to kind of get to know yourself and think about different things. So I do appreciate you sharing this information. I want to shift gears a little bit towards your education, and do you mind telling me a little bit about what school was like for you growing up, and kind of your friendships, or you know, friendships changed at all, or any experiences, positive or negative, that you want to share?
So school was good. I wasn't ever a great student. Struggled in school a little bit more than my sister, but I did okay. Um, I had some good friends um, through school um, that I kept through high school, and I still talk to a couple of them. Um, and then I have some good friends from college as well that I still stay in touch with. But mainly my friends are through my church now.
Did you have any hobbies or interests that you're really engaged in?
I've always liked to cook,
Yeah.
and I like decorating. Um, so that's always been those two things have always been things that I especially like to make.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to bake?
Um, Anything with chocolate.
Yes. All right. And did you ever have any other serious relationships aside from your husband?
No, I really hadn't dated a whole lot beforehand. Um, I wasn't allowed to date until I was 16. And I just never really met anyone that I liked enough to date, I guess,
Yeah.
before college. So.
And so after college, you had become an accountant. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your work experience and how things have changed or have you learned?
Sure. So I worked in a bank. I worked at Wells Fargo for a couple of years after we got married. My husband was in med school. He's a surgeon, an ortho surgeon. So he was in med school for a few years, and so I worked while he was in school. Um, we had our first child about 2 years in. and him being in school after we got married. So after we had our first child, I stayed home. We just we paid with loans for everything. But I enjoyed working at the bank. I knew that it was temporary and that it was like I always knew that I was supposed to be a mom, so that's what I wanted to do, was stay at home. So I never really thought of it as a long-term thing, but I enjoyed it.
Did you have any other jobs while you were in college?
No, I mean, I would babysit occasionally, but other than that,
And so I'm going to ask you some other questions, and they might seem a little bit odd to you, but it's just to kind of allow me to get to know you a little bit more. So, do you have any military experience or any volunteer experience? Yes, okay.
volunteer right now.
Volunteer, so you said that you are very close with your church, so maybe any um, missionaries or volunteers like that.
My husband and I have been overseas a handful of times on mission trips to Africa, and Israel a couple of times, but and I serve at my church when I can with the prayer team.
What were those mission trips like for you?
They were great. I've always felt really alive doing things like that, and just struggle even now with just living in America. I feel like it would be better to live somewhere else. So, but that's maybe in the future.
Do you think you would go on a mission trip again, or maybe
Yeah.
you and your whole family can go on one together? So now whether that would be great. And, have you ever had any legal issues or any situations where you had really gotten in trouble or maybe been punished for anything like that? Um, Next, I want to talk to you a little bit about a little bit more about your relationship with your husband. Um, so, how is your sexual life?
It's consistent. I think big things have been strained between us, but it's been wonderful. But I would say we still make time for that. We never got the full.
And now, diving in a little bit deeper, if you want to talk about it, do you feel like any feelings have changed during sex, or do you feel like, because you said there is a little bit of a disconnect with your husband, do you feel that as well in your sexual life? Because you might still be having sex with your husband, but
Yeah, we kind of both. I think we both kind of feel it in there.
is there any other relationships that you have aside from your husband currently, or desire?
You need one. Like what kind of relationship?
So, any type of relationship really, but do you feel that there are needs that you have that might be better off fulfilled with other people, or
Yeah, I definitely think that those are women that I spend time with in my church, understand, even in a small way, understand better the needs right? But I feel like I'm able to talk to them in ways that I'm not able to talk to them.
So, while we're going through these things, I'm kind of jotting down little goals that we can set in the future as well that you might want to set. So maybe ways to communicate or things that you're talking about here, especially in relationship with people outside your family, so the friends that you might have in your church. You feel like you're able to connect with them a little bit better, so maybe we can take note of the different ways that you're able to connect with people, bringing that into your relationship. So I know that some of the sadness and the loss of interest you have in things lately. Have you ever felt that you might be better off not living at home, or do you have any thoughts about that in general, or having?
I haven't ever really felt that way. I feel like I definitely want to be in my home and I don't know where else I would be. I feel like I need to be there. I feel like they're my responsibility. But yeah, I've never thought about it.
And earlier you were talking a little bit about how unfortunately you're feeling of shame and your insecurities towards your body image. Now, have you ever had any thoughts, or have you ever harmed yourself?
No.
And going back to your family a little bit, do you know of any family history of any mental illness or any medical conditions?
My mom had some mild depression symptoms, I think, when my sister was born, but it was never anything that she had no treatment for, just kind of depended on time.
And when you say mild depressive, do you mind just explaining to me a little bit about what that means to you?
She would occasionally just be, she'd be really quiet when she was with us, and I know that when my dad would come home occasionally, she would kind of go away to the bedroom and be by herself and be with us for the evening. That happened regularly when my sister was young, but then it just kind of changed slowly over time.
So you felt, by change, you felt these symptoms kind of went away as she was spending more time with you. And is there any other medical conditions either in your family that you're aware of? Hypertension, diabetes, cancer, anything like that? Has there ever been any other family members that have lived in your home, or any other family members outside of your immediate family that you were close with?
I'd say my family, like my immediate family, is probably who I'm closest with.
Now, is there any medications that you're taking currently? No. I know that you recently had a baby. Is there any vitamins maybe that you're taking?
I did, yeah, I'm still taking the prenatal vitamins because I'm nursing the baby.
Any allergies that you have?
Yeah.
seasonal allergies, vegetarian foods maybe, medications,
Some seasonal allergies, but no food allergies.
Have you ever been hospitalized for anything? So after you had each child, did all of your, did every time that you gave birth, did that go smoothly, or did you ever have to stay?
Things like that. So the births usually were all fine, and the babies were okay, and I was okay, but the ones with my first and third kids were particularly long and painful. So I think the first one was like 30 hours, and the third one was like 23, so really long.
Right, your second child came out
It was easier.
fairly quick,
Yeah.
and lastly, I just want to ask, is there any other times in your life where you felt any kind of significant event or something that may have happened to you that affected you at all? Nothing comes to mind. So would you say that what you're going through right now is kind of the first major event for you where you felt this kind of pain that you're experiencing? Yeah. So actually, you have gone through most of these questions thus far, and you are doing an excellent job. I know it's so difficult to answer some of these questions, especially the first time you're answering these questions. But all of this is to benefit you, so you can kind of open up the door to a couple of things that are happening in your life, and you can get things in a more positive light for you. So next, what I'm going to do is called a mini mental status exam. And I know that the title is a little bit intimidating. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just asking you a bunch of silly questions. And this as well helps me to get to know you a little bit better. Okay, if at any time you don't want to answer a question or you feel uncomfortable, just let me know. Don't be afraid to say anything, okay? This is your space. Alright, so what is today's date?
November 21st, 2014.
Perfect. And what is today's year?
2016.
And the month?
November.
And what is today? Can you also tell me what season?
Autumn.
Yeah. What is the name of the clinic that we're in right now?
Pfeiffer.
Yeah. And what floor are we on?
The first.
And which city are we in?
Charlotte.
And the county?
November.
And which state are we in?
Canada.
Alright, so I'm going to give you 3 words here. If you don't mind, after I say them, if you could just repeat them back to me. Okay. Ball, flag, and tree.
Fall, flag,
And I'm going to give you a number, and if you don't mind just counting backwards for me. So, starting with the number 100, can you count backwards by 6?
94. 38.
I'm going to give you a word, if you don't mind spelling it backwards for me. World.
B-L-R-O-W.
Do you remember the 3 words I gave you before?
Small tree.
You might tell me what this is. What about this here? I'm going to give you a sentence. If you don't mind just repeating it back for me. I know if, and, or about.
No, it's and.
I am going to give you a piece of paper here. If you don't mind just folding it in half for me. And then placing it right on the floor. Great. I'm going to show you a sheet here. If you don't mind just doing what the sheet says. And I'm going to give you, sorry, I have a lot of papers here. I'm going to give you a paper here. And if you don't mind just writing a sentence, any sentence you like. I'm going to give you this drawing here. So I'm just drawing an exact image of that drawing. Sorry, Ashley. I am all done with all of the questions I have for you today. I know it was a lot, and I thank you so much for bearing with me. The beginning of our journey is going to feel like a lot, I'm sure. But I just want you to remember that this is your space. Okay? I want to thank you so much for coming in. So I hope that we can set up a time to meet next week. I do have some late hours, so if you want to wait until your husband comes home so that you can come here just like today, we can arrange for that. And then we can try to get into a routine that fits best for you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, Ashley, I'm going to walk you out. Thank you so much, and we'll come right this way. All right, have a safe trip home.
Thanks.